normal one. Normal is subjective. Welcome to Let's Talk Football. My name is John Halpin, and alongside Chris Palmer. Chris Palmer, how are we doing today?
Doing good, man. We are new and improved. We now officially, for those who have been watching us, we have been putting together pieces. We now are both, as you can see, with new mics. We have a new backdrop. We are investing into this for you guys, for us. With that being said, this is going to be one of the more exciting episodes that we have done.
I gotta say, there is no normal because this is the new normal. And I am so excited for it because we have lights, we have mics, we have booms, we have a game box, we have the whole nine just to make sure that we have the best quality to bring you all the football information that you want and or don't need. So with that being said, are you ready to recap last week?
Yeah, I think it was another week of the upsets. It was a bunch of upsets, very low-scoring games. Again, a couple of head-scratchers as to what really happened. Let's kick it off.
Okay, so we're going to start off in the Thursday night game. Indianapolis beat the New York Jets 45-30. So tell me, Jonathan Taylor, is he a breakout running back?
Oh, for sure. He is absolutely a breakout running back. He got 2 early first half touchdowns on the Jets. Unfortunate that Mike White took an injury to the forearm. He was out for the rest of that game, but he will be back for Sunday. I did some looking on stats for him. In 2 1/4 games, he has 702 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions.
And his first pass ever, his first pass as a football player was a touchdown.
Yes.
I don't know how many people could say that, like their first pass was a touchdown, but it's a good start. It's a good start. And yes. So for the New York Jets, Mike White is someone to look forward to see. Even though Zach Wilson was the quarterback, you guys went into the season, he got hurt, but now you have another quarterback be like, you know what, let's see what he's got. And I think it makes New York Jet football a little bit more exciting for weeks to come. But with that being said, I want to move on to some Sunday games, getting to my Ravens barely escaping Minnesota 34-31 in overtime. Lamar getting it done, but with a Justin Tucker field goal that was so close.
You want to talk about close? That scraped on the inside of the pole on the kick. That wasn't just close. You guys, again, you won by the skin of your teeth. You guys really need to figure out what is going on with your team, why you aren't winning games as profoundly as you should be. You should have beat Minnesota by 2 or more possessions. And it came down to the final field goal that narrowly made it. Justin Tucker is one of the greatest field goal kickers in the game. Something is going on in the water that the field goal kickers this season are drinking, that they are just missing field goals that they should be making.
Yeah.
So count your blessings that field goal went in, because nothing counts this year. Nothing is automatic for any kicker, and it showed with Justin Tucker that was almost a miss.
Almost a miss, but still automatic. but I want to move on to some upsets that happened on Sunday, starting with the Denver Broncos beating the Dallas Cowboys 30-16. Now, we talked about that game before. We talked about how Denver's running attack was pretty much the strength of their offense, and they ran for over 190 yards on Dallas. Tell me your thoughts on that game.
Definitely an impressive outing from Denver. What I thought was the most impressive, they held Dallas scoreless for 3/4 of that game. Going into the beginning of the fourth quarter, they were shutting them out. And that is the Dallas Cowboys of this season are some of the more high-scoring teams in the league. It's one of the highest-scoring teams in the league, and it's not close. To hold them scoreless for 3/4 of a game, that's an impressive outing for that defense. Holding Dak Prescott under 100 yards for 3/4, he had 76 yards going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they were sending the dogs on him, and we're going to talk more about the Cowboys later on. But I want to move on to another upset, and it was the New York Giants upsetting the Las Vegas Raiders 23-16. Your thoughts on the Giants upsetting the Raiders?
I feel like that was a more come-together game for the Giants. As everything is going into shambles in Vegas off the field, everything on the field for the Giants seemed to have go right in that game. I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
They did a lot of things right. They still made some mistakes, that need to be worked on. There's still some issues with the offensive line. But that, of all games, was the game to really come together as a team and try to pull together a W, because you have a good team that's hurting on the outside. So you guys took advantage, seemingly, of whatever has been going on, and you snapped what was going to be a 3-game win streak since getting rid of John Gruden. The Raiders are now 2-1 since getting rid of John Gruden, which is still good. They got rid of their head coach, and they're winning games still. But that was a game that the Raiders should have won, and they lost. And the Giants showed up, and the Raiders did not.
I gotta say, I've been impressed with Derek Carr this season. You know me, he has been the rock to the Raiders this year, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing. And the Raiders are to be playing the Chiefs this coming Sunday on the Sunday night primetime. And I am excited for that game. But we're going to talk more about that later on in this episode. But I want to get to another upset that happened, and it was the Atlanta Falcons upsetting the New Orleans Saints 27-25. Tell me, what are your thoughts on the Falcons? Can they pull it together this season?
There could be one of those teams that decides to hit the gas in the second half of the season. Mm-hmm. This will be a very interesting second half of the season, especially with that extra game. Kyle Pitts is finally emerging as one of the best tight ends in the league. Matt Ryan is also still showing himself that he can be a very consistent quarterback. I was looking at his stats through his career and whatnot. He's playing just above average as to what he's been his entire career, just under 70% completion rating. Not many yards, more completions to yards, and he lets his stars do the work. Kyle Pitts is doing the work right now. Mm-hmm. And, they need a couple of pieces on their defense to really keep points down. That was a very close nail-biter of a game.
It was, and it was a very exciting game to watch as well. And I want to move on to a game that happened in Florida. Not the game you're thinking of, but it was the Miami Dolphins taking care of business against the Houston Texans. Tell me, your thoughts on the Dolphins getting it done.
Good win for the Dolphins. Again, I feel like that was more of a come-together game. Mm-hmm. That was a game you guys should have won.
However, Tua's questionable going into Thursday night's game.
Of course he is. He is so injury prone. It's so unfortunate. I'm not going to say it was a wasted first-round draft pick, because the man is very talented. It's very unfortunate that his body seriously just physically can't do it. Everywhere you go, you see him. He is hurt. I don't even think he started that game itself, because he had a fractured finger. Mm-hmm. that lingered throughout the week that he was going to try and start with, but come game day they said no. Mm-hmm. Or something along those lines. He's way injury prone, and it's very problematic.
It's going to be a problem for the Dolphins going forward. But I want to move on to the other game that happened in Florida, and one of the big upsets of the year: the Jacksonville Jaguars defeating the Buffalo Bills 9-6. It was like a high-scoring baseball game, but man, Jags got it done. Josh Allen defeating Josh Allen, picking off Josh Allen, the left outside linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, got it done.
Yes, he got it done. He had a very stellar game. Something that was very impressive to me on both sides were both defenses going back at each other, holding both of those teams to just field goals. The Jacksonville Jaguars didn't make it to the red zone until the second half of the game.
Yeah.
I think it was the fourth quarter exactly that they made it. And that was because of the defensive turnover.
Yep.
So that was a defensive game all the way. A lot of people would think that was a low-scoring, boring game to watch. But for those who enjoy defense, like you and myself, that was an exciting game to watch.
Yeah. I love the value of defense when it comes to football especially. And teams that execute well, they get it done, and defense does win championships. And I think the Jags, not that they're going to win a championship, but you know what? They have the foundations to something, and they're finding their stars throughout the season. They're like, okay, who can we lean on throughout the season? And it looks like Josh Allen on the Jags said, you can lean on me.
Yeah, they gave him that captain patch, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to take that in full stride, and I'm going to run with it.
I'm not sure if he's actually captain, but
I thought I saw a captain patch during the highlights.
he's definitely one to look out for going forward with the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to move on to the Cleveland Browns getting it done over the Cincinnati Bengals, 41-16. Brief thoughts on the Browns.
Brief thoughts on the Browns. Again, they're one of the more impressive teams. That was a identity game for them.
Mm-hmm.
They came through with their own that they are going to be one of the highest scoring teams in the league. They can average 30+ points a game easily. Past couple games wasn't like that. This game they came out and look what happened. They ran all up and down the field. This upcoming week, we will talk about it going into it. They only have one running back going into Sunday.
Yeah.
At this point in time.
Yeah. As a Ravens fan, I empathize, being that our whole running back core was destroyed even before the first snap of the regular season. But I want to move on to the New England Patriots defeating the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Panthers, I actually found this out today. Sam Darnold had an injury 2 weeks ago, and he played through the injury against the Patriots, but he's probably going to be missing a couple weeks going forward. That's why I think the Panthers signed Matt Barkley, I believe it was.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So Sam Darnold is going to be missing some time going forward. But your thoughts on the Panthers?
My big question is just what happened. You guys started out hot.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have played like absolute garbage since. You had everybody fooled. It was kind of the same thing as the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
But they beat better teams.
Yeah.
They didn't beat an 0-9 trio.
Yeah.
To go 3-0. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, they're basically they're going to wind up going game for game from what it seems. They're going to win one, lose one, and go throughout that, and probably going to miss the playoffs because of it.
Yeah. Panthers, it's definitely looking like your season's coming to a close soon.
An abrupt end.
Soon enough. But I want to move on to the Los Angeles Chargers defeating the Philadelphia Eagles 27-24. Justin Herbert getting it done. But tell me, Jalen Hurts, he's pretty efficient, man. Like he's producing. Your thoughts on the Eagles?
I like Jalen Hurts, and how I never really respected what they did to him, how the preseason prior that they really
they just never invested in
around.
Yeah,
and now I feel like he, like we said earlier in the season, that he could take that with a grain of salt and be like, look, I can do something good here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what he's starting to do now. He's really embracing the fact that he is the guy in Philly.
Yep.
And maybe now the franchise will see the error of their ways from last season, and they'll start investing in what he needs, which is more of an offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And, he needs a defense to, surround and contain points so he can put more points on the board. He has a big wow factor. And, he can throw the ball very fast, hard, and far. He has a good arm. He can run. He is a very stout quarterback, especially these current times.
Mm-hmm.
So give him the proper elements, he could really make something happen.
Absolutely. I want to move on to one of the uglier games of the week, and that was the Kansas City Chiefs getting it done over the Green Bay Packers, 13-7. Brief thoughts on the Chiefs.
Brief thoughts on the Chiefs, or brief thoughts
on that game? Give me your thoughts on that game.
Jordan Love needs to take a seat. That's really all I could take away. Is like you played that entire game, and you were boring. Like you were just boring. Like you try to take it that way that it is his first NFL start, but you look at how he played, and you got to remember he's been under that playbook for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like he was lost. That entire game against a defense that gives up a ton of yards.
Mm-hmm.
A ton of yards. They had no right. And then Andy Reid decided to just send the house on the poor man.
That's it. Yep. and you know what? I feel for him because he wasn't expected to do good, but no one expected him to do that bad. And
exactly.
And I think he might just be relegated to being a backup at this point. Being obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming back for this game against Seattle, and he's just going to say, "Sit down, kid."
Well, yeah, he's going to be like, "Thank you for keeping my seat warm."
Exactly. He's like, "Thanks for losing us the game." bitch. And
right, like, why'd you lose us the game?
But I want to move on to the Cardinals because they actually played with their backup quarterback, Colt McCoy, getting it done over the San Francisco 49ers.
My man, Colt McCoy.
31-7. Your man, Colt McCoy. I don't think I've ever heard you say that.
No. Colt McCoy. The reason why I say my man, Colt McCoy, because he used to be a starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, yeah. He was a quarterback for a lot of teams,
I understand. Colt McCoy makes me laugh because he used to be the default quarterback in every Ultimate Team ever.
That's true.
Colt McCoy.
That's true. He would just be chilling. But I want to move on to the Tennessee Titans getting it done over the Los Angeles Rams, 28-16. No Derrick Henry, no problem. It seems the Titans just did not miss a beat, and their defense actually had a good game plan against the Rams. Your thoughts on that game?
Definitely good outing from that defense, but it also helps that they have a good gap filler with Adrian Peterson turning to the helm. He
says I'm back.
Yeah, he said it with force. He ended with a touchdown. He got a touchdown in his first game back, and he was like, "I may be old, but I can still run you guys over. You guys are children to me.
Oh yeah,
I'm a grown ass man. How are you going to tackle me?" That's good logic to have when you're playing 18-year-olds.
It was nice to see that he got his.
Right.
He got his touchdown. He walked away from that game. He was like, cashed out. That's all. That's all I need to do. So we're gonna move on to the last game, the Monday night game. Your Steelers getting it done. Show the fans the hat.
Well, actually, this is not a hat that you've seen before. Remember, I had
the this is a new one.
I got this. I got both.
Show them
hats now.
Show it to the camera.
Well, it's right here.
Yeah.
This is the blackout color rush sideline hat. I saw it the other day. I went to the mall and I saw it at Lids. But this was a very close game. This was a lot closer than intended. But I got to tell you, I like what I saw come out of Justin Fields.
Yeah.
That man had 290 something yards.
This was his game. This was his breakout game. And even though it was a loss, it was a good loss. And again, their moral victories don't count in the NFL. They don't count that on the scoreboard.
No, but when you're playing a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Hall of Fame coach at the same time,
exactly,
and they're at home,
and
it's a Monday night game that they haven't lost, and they're about to go. They won their 19th straight Monday Night Football game. They won. I think they won their 210th game going into the fourth quarter, up by 14 points, consecutive game.
Whew.
So,
yeah, Steelers just got it done. The Bears weren't expected to win that game.
No.
But it was nice to see that no one was expecting them to play well, but they played more than well.
They played a full game.
They played a full game, and it was a hard-fought game. And I got to say, I didn't in real time. I didn't watch the game until like the last couple minutes. I got home. I saw like the last 4 minutes, just seeing that and seeing the teams just go back and forth, exchanging scores and making big plays, and seeing Justin Fields being able to make the big play down the field. Bears, I like Matt Nagy. I say keep Matt Nagy, but like the Eagles, invest in your quarterback. Invest in an offensive line for him.
Oh my God!
Please, just invest in an offensive line for this man.
You need, and just give him two pieces. Give him a left tackle and a right guard. You already have a center. Your center is stout. The center in Chicago is very good. Mm-hmm. He doesn't let anybody get past him. If you watch the film, he doesn't let anybody get past him. He holds up the D tackles, the middle linebackers. He gets to the second level. The center for the Chicago Bears is very solid. They need a blindside tackle and they need a strong side guard. Mostly the strong side guard because they run a lot of read option and they always have a pulling guard, usually coming from the right, whether they're skipping outside or they're going back left. They always have that strong guard moving, and the guard that they have now doesn't really get it done. He gets beat up a lot by D tackles. Yeah.
The Bears definitely need to invest in an offensive line because as talented it's like the Andrew Luck syndrome. It's as talented as your quarterback can be. He could be the most stellar athletic quarterback and be a winner. But if you don't invest in an offensive line in him, you just put not only yourself but him at detriment, and it shortened his career. And from there, he had to step away. And you know what? You just hate to see you just hate to see teams draft a young quarterback and expect so much from him at the start, but yet not invest in the pieces around him.
Well, you can look at that and you can see it directly in New York with the Jets and Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
They picked up Zach Wilson, and now he was a stout quarterback coming into the draft. His name came out of left field, and then all of a sudden his highlights started showing up, and then everyone wanted him. And the Jets were like, nah, he's ours. He's ours completely.
Actually, I thought the Jets were the only one that wanted him.
There were a couple of other teams that wanted him, but the people that they picked up were the ones that they wanted first. They go, we'll look at Zach Wilson. At the end, everyone started looking at him. Mm-hmm. But they also had their picks locked in already. But the Jets, they were like all in on Zach Wilson.
They were all in on Zach Wilson.
To the point where everybody was looking and questioning, like, Justin Fields? No?
Chicago's like, we'll take Justin Fields. And New England shortly after that was like, we'll take Mac Jones.
They actually took another quarterback as well, from what I remember. They took 2 quarterbacks that draft.
The Patriots?
Yeah. They took one later that draft as well, I believe.
Not in the first round, but...
No, later that draft.
Later that draft, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was in like the 4th round or something. They picked up another quarterback.
But so I want to move on to Mac Jones and the Cleveland Browns because I want to get to that game.
Okay.
Because the Patriots play the Cleveland Browns this upcoming Sunday, and I think this is going to be a very, very interesting game. Nick Chubb got COVID. He tested positive for COVID. Now he's vaccinated. And so he just needs to have 2 negative tests before Sunday's game. And I think with that, the Browns, if he's not in that game, it's going to be a huge game changer for the Browns because their team is run-oriented and run-centric. And it's going to be hard because Belichick said, if you're going to have only one running back, good luck. He's not going to be running at all. And it's going to be very tough. But tell me, what are your thoughts going into this game? Who do you think has the edge here?
You see, again, it's a big up in question, if Nick Chubb is going to come back. Kareem Hunt's still unfortunately out. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, I'm pretty sure he was out due to injury, right?
He was injured.
He was out due to injury. So Nick Chubb is out. He's questionable at this point in time because, again, all he needs are the negative COVID tests. But Dearness Johnson, we've given him a couple of shout-outs before. He's a stout little running back for the Cleveland side. But like you said, Bill Belichick is just an incredible coach. The one thing that I don't like coming out of Cleveland is that they are becoming very hyper-aggressive, running too many trick plays in very important times when they need to really be a mature team. And New England's not the team to do that with, especially now with Mac Jones he's playing very well. Mm-hmm. For a rookie quarterback, he's playing very well. He's playing very solid because there's more room to improve. And where he's going to go leading out of this season is a very good cushion for him to improve on. Mm-hmm. Because from here out, it's more so just going to be like refining the just rough edges with him. And then he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Give it a couple of years. I don't really see an edge here, honestly. If anything, it would probably go to the Browns on their defense. But offensively, it's kind of, to me personally, it's very evenly matched up because of the coaching as well from Bill Belichick being that good of a coach.
I gotta say, in looking up my stats going into this week, I was looking at the team stats for the Cleveland Browns and the New England Patriots, and most of the team stats are very similar, like passing yards per game, running yards per game, and just turnover percentage and fumble percentage and whatnot. And so, it's very similar. It's almost the same, but there was one difference, and it was on the defensive side. The New England Patriots defense gives up more running yards than the Cleveland Browns. The New England Patriots average about giving up 108 yards a game, while the Cleveland Browns they give up about 86 yards a game. Okay. And so it's going to be, I think, if Nick Chubb is there, the Browns definitely have the edge because it's going to be hard to stop him. And I don't think that because he's one of those physical running backs where you could set up for him. You could set up defensive coverage for him, but he could just out physical and out man everybody and just get the yards. It's like he just comes in and runs like 5 yards at a clip or 6 yards at a clip, and before you know it, you give him the ball twice and you already have a first down. And so that's the benefit of having a good run game, is seeing, is just kind of taking possession of it. And even time of possession was very key for you good?
I'm good. I skipped
You good, mate? Don't worry. But nevertheless, I do think this game is going to be. Both teams are very similar, but I got to say, do you, just off the top of your head, do you know who the New England Patriots' #1 wide receiver is?
No, I don't actually.
It's okay. I wouldn't expect you to know. It's Jacoby Myers, and he has 46 receptions for 434 yards.
Wow.
Their second receiver is Kendrick Bourne at 29 receptions for 422 yards. So they're splitting. What that's telling me is they're splitting their receptions between these two receivers. Hunter Henry is also getting his as well.
Well, yeah.
He and Nelson Aguilar. He's also a good third option with 22 receptions and 395 yards. So they're able to move the ball and spread the ball around. There's not really a #1 wide receiver. So I think for the Cleveland Browns, it's the mismatch where New England is going to be taking advantage is Hunter Henry right up in the middle. And as good as Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne can be, and you could spread the coverage, it's going to be right up the middle. And that's where the game is going to be won and lost. It's going to be right up the middle of the field.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And from looking at, from weeks past about this Cleveland Browns defense, we've been saying it from probably about week 3 that this team is nasty.
Yeah, so their defense is now getting it together.
However, there's one major hole in that defense. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to let everybody in on it. They have no answer for tight ends. The middle linebacking core is not where it's supposed to be compared to the defensive rush and their secondary. The middle linebackers and their pursuit is weak. They let plays happen, and then they try to swarm, which is all fine and well when the play's happening 7 yards behind the backfield. Then you can swarm to that all you want, but when the play has happened and it's going for a first down, you can't wait anymore. And you're waiting, and they're letting a 7-yard gain turn into a 17-yard gain because they're not putting helmets on the ball quick enough. Mm-hmm. So, but they need a middle linebacker, more so a middle linebacker like Michael Parsons in Dallas. They need a young middle linebacker that can really learn how to run the defense like Myles Garrett runs it, but from up in the box. They need a young kid who can be taught by someone who is as knowledgeable as Myles Garrett.
What's weird is Micah Parsons is just on a brief tangent of Micah Parsons, and we'll get into him a little bit later. He's such a hybrid that they put him not only in the box as a middle linebacker, but also an outside backer and also a D tackle. Like, they put him in the middle of the D line, and it's just
he's one of the more versatile players in the league right now.
It's not uncommon for a linebacker to alternate between middle and out, but to go to the middle of the line,
to go into a D tackle position, and still make waves as a D tackle,
and still be an efficient pass rusher. But we'll get more into Micah Parsons later on. But tell me, what you think that the Browns can pull it off without Nick Chubb?
I think there could be a way, but again, we've seen it time and time again. When you lean solely on Baker Mayfield to get it done, something happens at the end of games where he doesn't really know what to do, and his emotions get the better of him. It would be It would be good to see him overcome that. Mm-hmm. If he had any fourth quarter jitters come out, and if he could overcome that and then get over that and win a really tough game that's on the way, going up against New England. Because again, New England's playing really, really well. In the beginning, we kind of all counted them out because it was an unproven quarterback. He's starting to prove himself now with the second half of the season. First half is under the belt, second half underway, and there's no signs of stopping from the beginning of the season. They're playing very consistent to where they played in week one.
Mm-hmm.
They may not win. There will be some mistakes, but they're going to play you through and through, and they're going to punch you in the mouth every step of the way.
They're playing like a Bill Belichick run team where they prioritize defense, minimal turnovers, and capitalizing on mistakes. Yeah. And it seems to me that the role that he's asking Mac Jones to be, he's able to do it to the best efficiency that Bill Belichick's expecting him to do it. Like, he's kind of forming into that Tom Brady mold. I'm not like saying championship wise, but I'm saying like how they run the offense it changes because
so Jimmy Garoppolo.
Kind of. They're kind of that pocket passing style quarterback.
Well, yeah.
And where it's an efficient game manager, but they lean on their accuracy and minimal turnovers. It's the formula of just.
It's how Bill Belichick breeds quarterbacks.
Yes.
He makes quarterbacks that don't turn the ball over.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say he makes quarterbacks.
He can breed a good quarterback. He can get a quarterback out of the draft, and then he can make one turn and go real well. Tom Brady is an anomaly. I'm not really referring to him. He's an anomaly. I'm referring to Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm referring to Matt Castle.
Oh, in their time in New England.
Correct. In their time in New England, he turns subpar quarterbacks into quarterbacks worth merit and worth talking about.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about Matt Castle because of Bill Belichick. People now refer to Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback who can get it done because of Bill Belichick in New England.
Mm-hmm.
Mac Jones is being wrapped around Bill Belichick's legacy right now as a rookie. He's playing real well, but this is Bill Belichick's coaching all over it. Bill Belichick, people try to shroud that he can't coach a rookie quarterback. He can coach young quarterbacks. Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Castle. He can do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been done before.
It seems that Mac Jones is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Correct.
And for Bill Belichick, it's great because he's doing it with his style, his way, where he's winning with kind of players that are not really like, they're known, but they're not stars or they're not superstars or anything like that. Like Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne, like these aren't 1 and 2 guys that people are really hunting for in the draft or anything like that. And so these are under the radar players that he's also getting, but he obviously paid good money for some of them to come, like Nelson Aguilar, Hunter Henry, and Matt Judon, who is having an incredible year.
Unbelievable year.
It's a shame that the Ravens did not pay him. Motherfuckers, you didn't pay him.
But again, same thing with the New England defense. He's great, but he's a great rusher. He's great for rushing.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that coin, the same thing. They lack in having someone who can stand in the mid-cap zone defense
mm-hmm.
and track down a tight end. So this is going to be a tight end heavy game, I feel, on both sides. We're going to see a lot of checkdowns passes to tight ends. We're not going to see many over-the-top passes because, again, you have Devin McCourty in the backfield for New England. And then you have, what is his name? I wrote it down, actually. Denzel Ward.
Yep.
In the backfield for Cleveland.
Yep.
And both of them are ball-hawking safeties. So you're not going to see many over-the-top air outs. You're going to see a lot of checkdowns. You're going to see a lot of strong physical tight ends running and getting taken down by 4 or 5 different people.
Yeah.
Because these are 2 of the better gang tackling teams in the league.
They say a quarterback's best friend is his tight end, and It really
Especially
is.
A young quarterback.
Yes, a young quarterback, and I mean, even you see it now. Some teams really like to lean on their tight ends a little bit more. I know the Ravens like to do that especially, and I see that the Steelers are kind of also doing it as well. They're leaning on their young tight ends a little bit more. They're giving them some opportunities.
Freiermuth seems to be an anomaly.
He seems to be nice.
He's unbelievable. He's an unbelievable rookie. At one point we had 7 starting rookies on our lineup.
Mm-hmm.
But
makes sense.
But Freiermuth and Najee Harris are the shining stars out of all of them.
Calm down, mate. Relax.
I'm just saying.
Chill on your skills.
You brought him up.
I mean, you're right. But
just saying.
No, I gotta say, I do gotta give a shout out. A lot of the rookies are playing very well this year, and it's really exciting to see. But final thoughts on Cleveland and New England.
Final thoughts for New England. I'm just gonna give a shout out to Brandon Bolden. He's their I think there's that third string rookie running back. I'm gonna give him a player to watch because he is tough. He actually, who he reminds me of with how he runs? Ricky Williams. He looks like a young Ricky Williams. Right before he figured himself out and became a power runner, where he could actually make the moves, almost like Sean Alexander, if you would.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Alexander around there, like really big, but could also make those moves and get underneath people. So I'm going to give him a shout out as a player to watch this week. He's going to be interesting to watch.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on to another game that we think is going to be very interesting, and a team that I don't think we've actually dived into one of their games yet. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. Now tell me, before we sat down, you were telling me that Trevor Lawrence, is he going to be injured this?
I was looking at his stats because I wanted to, get the proper amount of notes for this game, and upon looking at, he's questionable.
He's questionable.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't actually see what happened because I was looking at the highlights, and from what it looked like, he was only out for a couple of plays.
Okay.
Then he was back in.
Okay.
So from what I saw, he finished the game. So I don't know exactly what could be wrong with him, but he is questionable as of now. I would assume he would play because this is, every game is going to be a must win if they're going to try and fight, and he's the first draft pick, so you got to play him.
Well, I don't think for the Jags every game is a must-win because, let's be honest, they're not fighting for playoff contention.
No, but they're fighting for progression.
Exactly. They're fighting to win games, to see their stars develop. And I got to say, one star that we saw develop last week who said, I am here, you can lean on me, is their left outside linebacker, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen. He showed out.
Josh Allen, not only did he pick off Josh Allen, he also had a fumble recovery from Josh Allen, and he also stacked Josh Allen as well.
Yeah, but I want you to understand, out of the entire game, he was the only name to make any waves on Jacksonville. Yes. Everything else I'm watching, and literally, it is poor. It is poor team play throughout. Poor on the offensive line. The left tackle, unfortunately. Now, again, we're talking about the importance of blindside tackles.
Yep. He
was hurt after the first snap of the game with a back injury. He was out for the rest of the game. What happened to Trevor Lawrence later that game? He got hurt.
Yep.
So the importance of a blindside tackle, ladies and gentlemen, is just that. It saves the life of your quarterback because that's usually where defenses put their strongest defensive linemen.
Yep.
Look at Myles Garrett. Where does he line up?
On the right side.
On the weak side, left side.
On the left side.
He lines up on the weak side. It looks like when you're
the weak side, yeah.
He's on the weak side.
Yeah.
Left tackle.
Yeah. I'm just I'm
looking at it from the defensive side on the defensive side of the ball.
I'm
looking at it from the offensive side.
Okay.
Myles Garrett is on the outside shoulder of the left tackle, so he would be the left end.
No. I'm just picturing it in my mind.
So
you know me, I'm a visual thinker.
That is where defenses put their strongest defenseman. So it's a safety lock for your quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Left tackle went down, quarterback goes down. Simple math. On Indy's side, they're just the better team. I'm gonna give my hat off to Carson Wentz. He played real well. That game he went 22 for 30, 272, and 3 TDs. I wouldn't expect anything less coming out of him this game.
Mm-hmm.
He's not playing anything more competitive of a defense. Sure, Josh Allen is great. Again, he's the only one to make any waves on that defense.
Mm-hmm.
I hope, and I half expect more out of Jacksonville, but at this point, I don't know what.
I honestly don't expect more out of Jacksonville. I think, honestly, this is probably as best as it's going to get because any other win that they're going to get, if they get any more wins, is probably going to be against soft competition. This is the only one where it's against a team that we know is probably going to the playoffs. like this is a playoff caliber team, and you guys were able to beat them, which is good because any given Sunday, any team can win. I think when it comes to the Jags, again, don't expect wins, But you just gotta see. You look for progress. See who's making the plays. See who you can lean on, and see who can be the players that you can help lead this team going forward in the future. And I like what I saw from Josh Allen, but I want to move to the flip side of the Colts. I think Jonathan Taylor is coming in to make his name for the Colts. And I told you about Jonathan Taylor going into the season.
He's in the offseason, and I kept my eye out on him, and I have to agree with you. That kid is special.
He's really special running back, and I got to say, he's one of those young talents that they're going to be leaning on. They're like, okay, we're going to lean on you. But I got to say, Carson Wentz, as you were saying before, he's playing very well. I was checking out his stats. He's actually on pace to have his best year in not only in touchdowns, but touchdown ratio and yards as well. He's so far this year, he has 2,198 yards, so 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Obviously, we know he also has some fumbles as well, but with that being said, he's got 17 touchdowns. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Very good. He's on pace to have like 27, 28 touchdowns. If he could have his statistically best year, I will, of course, I'll give credit where credit is due. If he plays that well, good for him. Again, it's just I don't buy into all the hype that everyone has given him for years in and years out. You play well, good, I'll respect it.
That's the thing. Like Carson Wentz and the Colts, there are just some teams that play well, but it doesn't necessarily always translate to wins. And
right. Well, that's the Chargers last season.
It's the Chargers. It's the Colts this year. It's also the Eagles as well. They can play well, and they can scrap against anyone, but it doesn't necessarily translate to wins. And I got to say, for Indy, if they kind of pick it up together, I think that they can be a wild card team. It's going to be tough because the AFC is very deep this year, and some teams are going to fall off. And the AFC North is absolutely competitive because
the AFC North, there's a chance that all of us wind up in the playoffs.
Exactly.
It's just that.
With that being said, then the Colts wouldn't even make it, or anyone outside that wouldn't even make it. But also the AFC West is very hot this year as well. So, but the Colts, they're kind of in a spot where the 2 losses, they played the Titans early this season, and the Titans are the ones that they're going to be competing for the division. They lost both of their games against the Titans. So it's going to be tough because it's going to be an uphill battle, not only getting to 500, but also getting, staying above 500 and also beating some good teams down the line. You
also got to close out on your divisional games if you've already been closed out on 2.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Divisional games count more when
you've already lost 2.
When you already lost 2, but they count more in November and December.
Well, yeah, of course.
And being that it's going to be the end of the year. So this game against the Jags is a divisional game that they desperately need, because if the Titans lose some divisional games down the line, say somehow to the Jags, they pull another upset, or the Texans somehow, because anything can happen in divisional games.
Especially now with Derrick Henry being out for the season.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly, yeah. So the Titans are vulnerable, but they're still competitive. Right. And I think the Colts, they had a very rough start because they played a lot of good teams early, but they can still be competitive within the AFC. So I wouldn't count them out for the wild card race. But the Jags, I'm not expecting them for the playoffs. But the Colts, keep your eye out for them because they're one of those teams that are going to be fighting game in and game out and going to be scrapping. That it's a hard-nosed defense. It's a well-coached defense too, because they actually tackle, and
they're one of the better again, one of the gang tackling in the open field teams. I gotta give them that's where it's due. Is again, they're one of the better open field tackling teams as well. But again, on Jacksonville's side, with Trevor Lawrence being questionable, if he doesn't play, I feel like he loses the room.
What the
locker room?
Who's Lawrence? Oh, Trevor Lawrence is the he that you're saying. Yeah. Like he loses.
If he doesn't play,
okay.
Now like they're in the thick of the dumpster fire that is going on right now, and now you're coming up against an injury now. If you don't play, and you may lose the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, it may have already been lost already.
No, but
they may have regained it from that Bills game.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So now, if you just saw a spark of light.
Take that momentum and run.
Right, but now you're saying, I'm questionable, I'm going to take the choice, and I'm going to sit down, you're going to lose them completely.
Well, let's see. Let's see how the Jags respond, because even divisional game, even if he's not playing, there's C.J. Beathard and Jake Luton, both default quarterbacks in Madden.
You cannot tell me that as a franchise, if you think that Trevor Lawrence is any case of healthy, that you would decide to put them two in at any point in time. No matter how poorly Trevor Lawrence is playing, you keep him in the game.
If he's able to play, keep him.
Correct.
Because even if
that man doesn't need a cast, he's playing.
You just need to invest in your quarterback, and that's the thing for the Jags is going forward, you're going to have to invest in not only enough offensive line. I do like their running back, Allen Robinson. He's a very good running back. That
pretty sure he was out this past week for injury as well.
He's stout, and
he's stocky.
I want to see them lean on him more in the future going forward.
And that seems to have been the running theme with Jacksonville as well. You know, from Maurice Jones-Drew to Leonard Fournette to now this kid. Yeah. They've always had the more stocky running backs. They've been a north-south team true and true since the beginning. So that I have to give respect to Jacksonville.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting for them going forward, but we're definitely going to keep an eye on them. Do you have any final thoughts on that game?
That game's going to be very interesting to watch. You know, again, I feel like Indy's just a better team. I wouldn't expect anything more than a lights-out showing for Carson Wentz, but what I'm not looking forward to is after this game, people are going to start with the hypothetical Carson Wentz is an elite quarterback conversation.
Oh, God, he is not. Correct. But I want to move on to a quarterback who I think is elite, is Matt Ryan.
Was elite.
Okay, we'll say was. Was elite, fine. But Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons go up against the Dallas Cowboys this Sunday. And I got to say, tell me your thoughts on this game going forward. Who do you think is going to be the X factor of this game?
Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts.
And Kyle Pitts is going to be, it's okay. It's like we were talking about last game that, you know, the middle linebackers had no answer for tight ends. Mm-hmm. Guess what? There's a stellar tight end on one side, and there's an even better middle linebacker on Michael Parsons on the other side. It's going to be the collision that everyone's been waiting for when it comes to a flats run. I want to see them two get after it. Mm-hmm. I also want to see Trayvon Diggs. You know, I want to see, because Matt Ryan, he apparently, you know, as you can tell, he likes to air the ball out. Last game, he went 23 for 33, 43 and 2 TDs. Mm-hmm. He had a stellar throwing game. You know, and Kyle Pitts can run in on as a flex receiver. He doesn't always line up as a tight end. But Michael Parsons, as we were saying, is one of the more versatile linebackers in the game. He's going to follow him all over the field. You can bank on that is going to be the man-on-man coverage. Mm-hmm. It's going to be Kyle Pitts on Michael Parsons. And that's going to be who they go after each other all game. The one thing that concerns me with Atlanta is that they couldn't stop Alvin Kamara last week. And if they can't stop Alvin Kamara, how are they going to stop Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott? That's going to be a rough day for the Atlanta defense.
Yeah. Well, we know Atlanta's not a defensive-oriented team, but
but it's going to be rough.
They have a big challenge ahead of them containing that Dallas offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because, you know, Dak Prescott, last week he went 19 for 39, 232, 2 TDs, and a pick. He had a very good game. This could be a potential shootout. You know, if the defense decides to open up on Dallas' side, you know, and Matt Ryan can have a day, it can just happen. So we could see a potential shootout here. I more so see Dallas having the X factor with their run game on that defense.
Yeah, I got to say, this is one of those games where last week, Dallas, you just got to shake off last week. You just got to shake it off. And for the Falcons want to ride that momentum. So you got to – now, before I get into this game, last year, the Falcons and the Cowboys played each other, and they had an absolutely incredible game. The Falcons were leading. I think it was like 24-10 at halftime, and then they went up like 39-25 or something like that. So all throughout that game, Dallas was chasing them for the lead, and Dallas was able to win 40-39, pull off the comeback of comebacks, recover an onside kick. So it's as good of a start as Atlanta can be, and as much as they could score points, their defense is what's going to be the one that win and lose that game, because the Cowboys are better offensively than they were last year. This year, like right now with Dak and the core that they have, they're better than they were last year.
Oh, without a doubt.
And so I don't know if that Atlanta defense, I do not think that Atlanta defense is better than last year. that Atlanta defense is not good. Like they are really bad. Like
they have problems on that Atlanta
They
defense.
have not improved their defense over the years.
In decades. It has never been known of the Atlanta Falcons to have anybody more than a couple of pieces here and there. You know, they hadn't aged Asante Samuel the last I checked that they had any type of stout defenseman on their defense. Mm-hmm. They had Asante Samuel who wasted his career in Jacksonville. Whoops.
Whoops. We ain't gonna go there.
We ain't gonna walk down that road.
But I gotta say though, with this game with the Falcons and the Cowboys, I think the Cowboys defense, maybe we got a little too high on that defense, because I want to say this. You said you pulled up Dak's stats last week. They were very misleading because the Broncos absolutely shut out the Cowboys for most of the game.
Well, yeah, I mentioned that they were shut out up until the fourth quarter.
And what really set them apart was their running game. The Broncos were able to run it all down their throat. They had 190 rushing yards, mm-hmm. and 40 minutes time of possession. 40 minutes.
That's nuts.
That's ridiculous. That's
a full half of game. That's
3/4 of a game right there. Like you just.
It makes sense.
And so the Cowboys, it's like any good team, any good offense, where you shorten the game, make sure that their offense does not see the field. And I liked the way that the Broncos were able to attack the Cowboys and attack their defense.
Yeah, but this Atlanta defense is not going to be able to do that. This
Atlanta offense is not even willing to run the ball. No. So I think with that being said, I think when it comes to man-on-man coverage, they're going to struggle with Kyle Pitts probably.
Well, he's going to get his, but you have to expect that.
But they don't have Calvin Ridley anymore.
No, and they don't have Julio Jones anymore either.
So and they're not willing to run the ball. So the Cowboys know that it's going to be Matt Ryan in the shotgun passing to whoever the fuck can catch it. Actually, you know who can catch it and they actually acquired in the offseason? Cordero Patterson.
I forgot about that.
He actually had a really good game against the Saints last week. He had 6 receptions for 126 yards. He had a absolutely bomb. He was catching bombs all game. And so he looks like he's finding a home in Atlanta, and I like that. But he's not enough. And I think that for Atlanta, if you're going to have a good chance against elite defenses, you're going to have to split the load, as we've been saying with Pittsburgh. Is like you can't be dependent on Matt Ryan throwing the ball and expecting him to do it every time. He
used to be able to.
He used to be able to.
Now he can't do it.
Now you can't lean on him to do that.
No.
And it was good to see that last week he had 343 yards against a really good Saints defense team. Like that's a really good defense.
Yeah, it's a stout defense.
But you can't expect for him to do that game in and game out when teams are going to be preparing for him.
It's just not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen.
Right.
So the Falcons are going to have a tough time this week. And there's one name that I wanted to mention that gives them a specific edge. Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
The Falcons' former head coach, Dan Quinn, is now the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I forgot about that, actually.
So he gives the biggest edge. He is the X factor this game. So he knows how to prepare for Matt Ryan and that passing attack. Be like,
he doesn't
look,
know how to prepare for Kyle Pitts, though. He's never seen Kyle Pitts.
He's never seen Kyle Pitts, but he's like, look, if we're going to double anyone, we're going to double Kyle Pitts. Everyone else, you take your man on the outside and have two safeties down the field.
Well, that's kind of mostly how he's been running that defense as a whole, and he's just letting Trayvon Diggs go nuts, picking everything off.
Yeah, but Denver was able to kind of have him on the second move, though. He was able to kind of I'm glad you mentioned Trayvon Diggs because he actually, like, watching that game, he actually reminded me of Marcus Peters, where he's aggressive, and I think to the point where
almost to a fault.
Teams can expose that on him. Yes,
it's almost to a fault. Like, he needs to know when to reel it back.
Yep.
He is a great, but like you and I were saying, like you were actually just saying that most of the people, they more or less overstepped when it comes to that Dallas defense. More so because Trayvon Diggs was up on cloud 9 for a couple of weeks for 7 games in a row. Yeah. He was playing on a level that really no one has seen in decades. When it comes
a good
to
pace.
Safety play, but no one can keep that type of pace.
But now he comes back down to earth.
Like, that's like Paul Krause type pace.
And Reed type pace.
Right. And the thing is, but that would have to go an entire season to be put in that caliber.
Mm-hmm.
You did it for 7 games as a rookie. I'm proud. Good for you. You did well. You did really well. Now it's time for you to continue to learn and be the rookie that you are.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, be the humble rookie that you should be, instead of thinking that you are the man, or else you're going to start getting exploited worse and worse as the time goes on.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those games I want to watch this game because this is going to be a very offensive driven game. But man, are we going to see another shootout? I think we might.
There's potential.
I think we might.
There's potential with this one, especially this one coming up.
I think this may be probably a very difficult game for Matt Ryan, though, because, again, being that Dan Quinn was your head coach for all these years, and now you go against him. It's
going to be more of like a bittersweet emotion game.
This is going to be a really good, who was better, the quarterback or the coach?
Well, you really can't give. No, there's only one quarterback-coach tandem that you can really put that question to, and that's already been answered. Well, actually, I feel like that question is still up in the air because of how well Mac Jones is doing with that coach.
That's the thing.
It's like now that question is kind of re-sparked. I'm not saying that they're going back to the Patriots briefly. I don't know. I'm not saying that they're going to be a championship caliber team this year.
No.
Not by any means. The AFC is way too deadlocked, but they're a playoff contender.
They might be a wild card. They're definitely a wild card contender.
As of right now, you can consider them, and alongside the Colts and a bunch of other teams in the AFC, in the hunt for the wild card spots.
Actually, I'm actually thinking of it right now. They actually have 5 wins as well as the Bills, so they actually could just be competing for that division.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I want to move on to
the game of the week.
Is it Green Bay Seattle?
Oh, for sure.
You think that's going to be?
That's. I
don't know, man. I think the primetime might be. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I see this one being game of the week more so because of the double return.
Give me your thoughts on this game.
Again, it's just going to be more highly anticipated, I feel, than the primetime game because of the double return. It's Aaron Rodgers versus Russell Wilson. We didn't get to see last week what we wanted to see with Aaron Rodgers. We didn't get to see that. Now we get to see this. So this is going to be a very fun game to watch, especially with Seattle coming off of a bye week, a much-needed bye week because they were banged up. So hopefully they were able to, ice themselves off, bring back Russell Wilson, let Geno Smith take a breather now. It's unfortunate that they're going into this game 2-6. Their season is more or less, I would think, in the toilet for the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think in order for them, with how tight that division is alone, I think, like, off the top of my head, they would be able to lose one more game and then win out to go a total of 11-7.
11-6.
11-6.
11-6.
Right, 11-6, sorry.
And that would be good enough for a wild card.
But that would be winning all but one game for the rest of the season. That is a tall order for anybody.
This is the question that I wrote down here that I wanted to ask you. Now, with Wilson coming back, is that enough for Seattle to overcome their own defense in order to become a playoff contending team?
Absolutely not, especially with how tough these defenses are becoming, especially in the NFC. These NFC defenses are like the offenses in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
The AFC is the point scorers, and the NFC are the ones that just don't let points up. It's two different sides, and usually that's usually what happens with the Super Bowl. The number one offense faces the number one defense.
Typically.
In
recent years, it's been like that, but recent years it's also been a lot of first seeds as well.
Well, yeah.
a lot of teams that benefit from that bye week and stuff. But I gotta say, in regards to this game, this is Seattle plays next week. They play the Cardinals. So
this is a rough gauntlet for Seattle. There's a bunch of teams in the league right now about to start a rough gauntlet for the second half of the season. Seattle's one of them.
Seattle is one of them, and it doesn't help that their division is just so competitive because the Cardinals are taking off. The Rams are people think that they're Super Bowl bound as well. And the 49ers, they're hard fought, but it looks like they're falling too. They're falling from grace over the past couple of years. So I think Seattle, it's great that Russell Wilson's back, but I wouldn't expect much out of the season anymore because if you think about it, the NFC is very heavy at the top. So let's say Green Bay wins their division. Let's say Tampa wins their division, as well as the Cowboys. And let's say the Cardinals because they're leading their division for now. Right. They're NFC West. So there's 3 wild cards available. So I see, so they would be fighting with teams that are kind of like second and third in their respective divisions. So they'd be fighting for the Rams for a wild card, the Saints, the Vikings, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who else. I don't see anyone else from the NFC East that could really be wild card contender. Not the Eagles, Giants, or Washington.
Well, I feel like one of them would have to make it into at least that game by default. Just like when it comes to spacing, like for game spacing.
I don't think that they would get the wild card though. That's what I'm saying, unless they win their division or something like that. But no one else from that division is there. But for Seattle though, they have to really fight. That second game against the Rams that they play against is going to be very crucial. And being that they play a lot of divisional games on the back end of their schedule, it's going to be tough for Seattle going forward. But for Green Bay though, it looks like honestly, with Aaron Rodgers gone, I think it may strengthen his MVP case. It's like look at what they are without them, without Aaron Rodgers.
If you're looking at like in terms of impact of player, and you want to look at one game without him, it is complete disarray without Aaron Rodgers. And that's on both sides of the ball. I don't know how the hell it transferred over into that defense. That defense was lost without Aaron Rodgers on the sideline for some goddamn reason.
That whole game
was lost without Aaron Rodgers around.
That game was so ugly against the Green Bay Packers game against the Kansas City Chiefs that happened last week was so ugly. That I felt bad for Green Bay's not only just team in general because nothing was working, nothing had momentum, nothing had drive, and everything stalled. And it just feels that I think Green Bay, this is one of those games that, okay, they're home. It's time for Rodgers going to be back. Hopefully he did film studying while he was ripping bong, but I don't know. But it looks like this is one of those games where Aaron Rodgers just like cracks the knuckles and says, let's do this.
Well, hopefully it's going to turn into, a dogfight like we would really all expect when it comes to Russell Wilson versus Aaron Rodgers. These are two of future first ballot Hall of Famers, respectively. These are two of the pinnacle of elite quarterback for years now in our league. You know, Aaron Rodgers coming off of an MVP season, Russell Wilson coming off of an MVP season, but it was given to Aaron Rodgers. You know, he played great.
Well, he played great, but he kind of backed off on the second half of the year
because he saw the landslide victory that Aaron Rodgers was playing.
Yeah, he was just putting it in. But I got to say though, it is nice for Seattle. You get Russ because Russ is your team,
right?
And so you get him back.
Well, that's for both teams, respectively.
Both teams need their quarterbacks, especially. And it seems that these teams, good for Seattle that they were actually able to get a win with Geno Smith. But if Geno had to run the whole rest of the season,
it would have been very ugly. That would have been the only win they got for the rest of the season,
pretty much.
Because I'm pretty sure they won one and lost fucking 5 straight.
I gotta say, I was looking forward to Seattle competing, but man, it's tough. It's tough ahead. Teams have won out when they are, say, 3-6 and stuff like that. They have won out
in a 16-game season. Yeah, the 17 games.
I know. So maybe they could. Maybe
that's a tall order for.
It's anyone. A tall order.
That's a tall order, and you know, again, coming off of an injury, going into the cold, and playing in Washington, coming into the cold. That's going to be rain rough. And that snow that's coming in. Dude, it is going to be a different level this winter. I don't see much coming out of Seattle for the rest of the season, and it's concerning to me. What
do the Nordic winds tell you about this upcoming winter?
Well, not the Nordic winds, but, there's a lot of snow coming.
Okay, listen, but I want to move on to what I think is going to be the game of the week, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Las Vegas Raiders in Vegas. Prime time Sunday night. Can I start this one?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
This is a tough order. And we talked about this yesterday, even before we started writing notes and stuff like that. If the Raiders win this game, this is for the division. So this is for whoever wins this game takes the lead in their division. If the Raiders win this game, do they take that step into becoming a playoff contending team? And it's a rhetorical question because we don't know. That's the thing. This game is going to be the Raiders a must-win game. This is basically a playoff game right here, right now. This is like week 16 at the end of the season, where all the marbles are on the line. This is it, because divisional games count twice as much in November and December. You can't afford to lose these games. So for the Raiders, you can't lose this game. For the Chiefs, you can't lose this game. They've been struggling and stumbling, but they're here in a game where you can take the lead and manifest your own destiny from here going forward. If you lose this game, you're playing catch up with not only yourself, but say if the Raiders lose, they have to not only compete against the Chiefs, but the Chargers and the Broncos, and also the other deep teams in the AFC that are going to be fighting for wild card rounds. That's why it's so important. This extra game is going to be so critical going forward. And I see why they added an extra wild card as well. But it's 3 wild cards. It's you can't afford to fall behind in the AFC.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, and I love this matchup coming. And I have a soft spot for the Raiders. I have a soft spot for Derek Carr. So I did a little homework while doing the notes, and I did some stuff. You want to hear a stat from Derek Carr?
Yeah.
He hasn't thrown under 200 yards since October 4th. He hasn't thrown under 200 yards in a month. And I remember actually talking about that game. That was his second consecutive game under 200 yards. Mm-hmm. That was also his last game under 200 yards.
He's like, I'm going to just rip it over 300 from now on.
So he goes, well, I'm going to rip it for 200 yards or more. After that, he threw for 220, then he had 320, then he had 360, and then this one he had 290.
He's been playing very well. I think he's probably having his best year so far.
I agree. This is without a doubt his best career season. But, on the back end of that, it's, again, he can't play a full game from what it seems. he is beating himself at the end of the game to the point where now you could almost argue that defense is really the ones keeping their heads above water. I know you don't have much faith in that defense, but if you watch those highlights and you come down to the second half and you look to see who had their heads on straight on that Vegas team, that defense was making moves. Yeah, they made a couple of ugly situational plays. It was like one bad penalty, but they stopped them on fourth down twice. And then on the first time they let up because it was a bad penalty. They stopped them, but it was a bad penalty that was thrown. It was a pass interference. Led them to another fourth down. They stopped them immediately after Derek Carr throws an interception.
Mm-hmm.
Again, another fourth down. Defense stops it. Now it's in the red zone. Derek Carr fumbles it. So the defense had their head of keeping that team above water that past game. And it was late time situations that Derek Carr fell short on. And that was really concerning when it comes to how well of a season he is playing, because that's been becoming more of a common theme with all these teams that have been playing well. Is the fourth quarter, these games are getting tighter. Now is the season going on.
Mm-hmm.
So the competition's getting better. The teams are starting to adapt to their own problems, and they're getting better. So the teams that have been blowing teams out for most of the season, they're now becoming gassed in the fourth quarter, because for the first half of this year, they haven't needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the Raiders. They were putting up 35-plus points a game in the first five games. Now they're still doing that, but teams are answering that.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't answer back because that's all they can put up.
Yeah, it seems that the Raiders were definitely flying high earlier in the season. But I think they're against this Kansas City Chiefs defense, they're going to be able to have their way.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
you can hope.
I got to say, passing the ball, the Raiders have some very similar stats to the Chiefs. Obviously, they have less turnovers than the Chiefs because the Chiefs are basically giving the ball away.
Patrick Mahomes is giving the ball away for sure.
Now, Patrick Mahomes has 10 interceptions, but he
leads the league in interceptions right now.
He does lead the league in interceptions, so that's the most interceptions by a quarterback in the league. He also does have some fumbles as well, but he has 20 touchdowns. Bless you.
Great. Remember 30 for 30?
Yes, and I would like to see him do that. but Mahomes, he's just trying to cash out as much as he can. And although Derek Carr, he has pretty similar stats to Mahomes, actually. They both have 2,500 yards. Derek Carr has 13 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. So he has just less than, oh, God, don't get me sick, man. Don't get me sick. No, but he has just less touchdowns and less interceptions, and obviously less fumbles. But it is... They are playing very well as a team, but the Raiders are struggle to run the ball. They have about 730 yards rushing as a team this year, and compared to the Chiefs have about 1,000 rushing yards so far this season, which is crazy to think about because of how much the Chiefs have been struggling. And it's like, damn, they've been so offensively inefficient, but yet it's like, well, they have over 3,500 yards of offense,
right.
and they have touchdowns. It's just they're just turning the ball over too much. I think the Raiders defense, though, even though I don't have faith in them, this game though they just have to let the Chiefs beat themselves.
Well, I agree with that to an extent. It's just you got to watch out for Carl Nassib, man.
He's having
Carl Nassib and Giannis Ngakoue. The both of them as a tandem on that team are something to behold when it comes to that pass rush. Carl Nassib has a nasty rip move, and Giannis Ngakoue is one of the fastest big men I've seen.
Also, Max Crosby.
And Max Crosby is a very stout linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
It's Yannick Ngakoue, right?
Yeah.
Yannick Ngakoue. That tandem on defense is really becoming something to behold, and that is becoming more or less the focal point of that Vegas team.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I love Vegas. I love the route that they were going. I loved Derek Carr from the start. I thought he was special, and then he broke his leg, and I still think he is one of the better quarterbacks in the league right now. He has gotten consistently better, and now he's showing it. That defense is showing a lot less problems right now.
I think the bigger question is, are the Raiders going to win, or are the Chiefs just going to beat themselves? And I think, honestly, we have a better chance of the Chiefs beating themselves rather than the Raiders capitalizing too much.
Well, it's going to
make sense.
It's going to be the same question that we asked a couple weeks back when who was it that played the Chiefs? And they played, from what it seemed, really well. But it was just, again, because that Chiefs defense is so bad.
Oh, the Eagles.
The Eagles.
The Eagles, when we were talking about that game.
Will that Chiefs defense just be that bad that Derek Carr comes out and he throws an amazing game? Now, he can do that against the better defenses. But if he does it with more emphasis on this team, will it be Derek Carr's doing, or will it be Kansas City's doing? That's my same question as well. I agree with you.
Well, I got to say, we also didn't mention that the Raiders got a new weapon in Deshaun Jackson.
Oh, that's right, Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson has signed with the Raiders. So Henry Ruggs is no longer with the Raiders. He had some issues outside of football.
Yeah, he's looking at 43 years in prison. We talked about that last week.
So we're gonna stick to on the field right now, and Deshaun Jackson is going to be on the field on Sunday night against that Chiefs defense, and it is going to be interesting to see him in the silver and black. I got to say, it's going to be weird to see him in the silver and black.
Him in silver and black. Again, I kind of hope that he makes his way back to Philly before he's on his way out. Just to see him go one-off back in the jersey that he started in. Looking at a Deshaun Jackson jersey in Philly would be something to behold again, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, in Vegas, I think that could be something cool. You have him all the way out wide, then you have Darren Waller. So that would be something cool.
And Hunter Renfrow, too.
Don't they still have Aguilar, too?
No, he's on the Patriots.
He's on the Patriots, okay. All right.
Okay, so with that being said, you want to pick some games, Chris Palmer?
First, how about you tell me, what do you think about this upcoming Thursday night game tomorrow? Ooh. Being that it's going to be tomorrow, Baltimore and Miami.
I think this is going to be one of those shows where the Ravens are going to take advantage of a team that is struggling a little bit. And I'm sorry, T, but the Ravens are taking it, babies. The Ravens are taking it. Rashad Bateman, number 12. He is our first-round draft pick, and I think if he doesn't break out this game, it's going to be soon enough. But I think this is the game for him to kind of show up and show out, be like, hey, look, I'm here.
All right. Yeah, I can see that. You guys are definitely going to be more of an advantage game on your end. So I can definitely see that going more in your favor. I'm sorry, T. I'm going to have to go with the Ravens on this one. But, as we learned last week, any given Sunday, anything can happen.
That is true.
Don't count Miami out. They do fight.
No, but I'm picking my Ravens to win Thursday night, baby. The better question is, what jersey should I wear tomorrow?
That goes with everyone you want to wear, mate. You know what? Actually, why don't you wear your Ed Reed jersey?
Okay.
Why don't you wear your Ed Reed jersey?
I'll wear my Ed Reed jersey.
So, with that being said, we are going to move on to calling out our games for this week's slate. As he just said, our first game was Baltimore-Miami, and you are going with Baltimore.
Yep, I'm taking my Ravens.
So am I. So, Baltimore. The next game that we have on the slate is New Orleans and Tennessee.
Ooh, you know what? It's tough because Trevor Siemian's going to be starting in for New Orleans. And although we're definitely going to see New Orleans lean on Alvin Kamara throughout this game, I'm going to take Tennessee. I think that they're riding on good momentum, and I think just Ryan Tannehill, he's a good quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback, and I think that their offense is still capable enough for them to win this game.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. Yeah, I'm going to go with Tennessee as well. I I don't necessarily buy into Ryan Tannehill as much. I just think he's a better quarterback than Trevor Siemian.
Yes. He's definitely a better quarterback than Trevor Siemian.
Moving on to Buffalo and New York Jets. I know this is more of a lock for you. This is more of an interesting game for me.
Well, tell me, what intrigues you about this game?
Well, other than the fact that Mike White is really an impressive person to watch. I want to see how the Williams brothers get after it. Quinnen and Quincy Williams on that defensive front, on the defense, defensive tackles for the Jets. If they decide to, have a day at pressuring Josh Allen, you saw it with Jacksonville. They put pressure on him all night. He does not like pressure. So big man's been figured out. He doesn't like pressure. And the Jets are a very pressure-filled defense. If they decide to have a day and Mike White decides to have a day, we could have a very interesting game.
I think, like all Jets fans, you just want to see more of Mike White and just see what can he do, and just to get that little bit, because there's that little bit of the unknown where it's like, what if he is the one? What if he is? And I think that's always that little Jets optimism where it's like, can he do it?
Well, I don't even know if it's just, is he the one? It's more so just, it's not even that. It's just, is there finally hope? It's not, is he the one?
Finally hope.
We've seen it with the Giants. It's just, we have not seen a successful Jets team in our lifetime. We saw 2 AFC championships and a butt fumble.
And that was it. Yep. That was it. And that was the collapse of the Jets. But
so who are you going with?
I'm taking Buffalo.
Okay. Against my better judgment, I'm going to go with Buffalo, but I really
you kind of liking the Jets in this one.
I do kind of. I don't know, man.
Do you want to take? Do you want to take them?
I'm going against my better judgment. Okay. But again, I think that the Jets are going to give a much better outing than presumed.
Okay.
Moving on to Detroit and Pittsburgh. You know my pick.
I'm taking your Steelers too to win this game.
Pittsburgh.
But you smell it, Chris Pullman? Do you smell an upset?
No, I smell the rolling in dumpster fire that is Detroit rolling into Pittsburgh.
They're coming in on a large garbage barge.
Yeah, we're coming in off of, again, an identity game.
It's a large garbage barge.
So we're going to move on to Jacksonville and Indy.
I'm taking the Colts on this one. I just like the way that the Colts have been taking momentum game in and game out, and just been playing very efficiently. And I like what I've been seeing them in the past couple weeks.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. The past couple weeks they have been impressive. And just, again, this week they're just the overall better team. And I don't think I'm actually going to vote Jacksonville to win any game.
From here on out?
No.
The rest of the season?
No.
Oh, God.
I don't think I have once this year. I've had no inclination to vote for them. Because remember, they started this year on a losing streak of 15 or more, and they went to almost 20.
You're damn right.
And every weekend, I just said I have no indication to vote for them to win. So I will continue that.
Sorry, Mikey.
So we're going to move on to Tampa versus Washington.
I'm taking the Bucks. That Washington, sadly, as much as we wanted Washington and their defense to be a stellar defense, they have underperformed, and that is one of the most disappointing units this year. With that being said, Tampa's defense isn't really that much better. They're not. Their secondary is very vulnerable. But with that being said, Tampa is just the better team.
Oh yeah.
Through time in and time out, I'm taking Tampa 10 out of 10 against Washington.
Yeah, you can't not take Tom Brady going up against that defense. Like you said, that defense is one of the biggest disappointments of the year. We all, as probably an NFL fan base, thought they were going to be one of the best. They are probably, I think as of right now, they're ranked like 26th or 27th defense overall out of 32. Mm-hmm. So they're actually one of the worst. They're like bottom 5 tier defenses this year, which is, in my mind, the biggest plunder of an outing of the season from one season to the next. But moving on to Cleveland versus New England.
Ooh. This is
a tough one.
This is a very tough one. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Patriots on this one. I just like the way Mac Jones has been looking more comfortable in that Patriots offense, and I like them spreading the ball. And I think Hunter Henry is definitely going to be the X factor this game. I think attacking those middle linebackers is what's key. Also, Damian Harris, the running back, I like him. He is a stout running back he's feisty. So I'm taking the Patriots to win that game.
Yeah, again, I'm going to have them right there next to you with New England. As the season gets further, wanting or half expecting a divisional rival to win is more detriment than it is unbiased. So I can't want them to win at this point in time, especially now with the season and how deadlocked the AFC North is.
Yeah.
We
don't want them to win.
Like the first game, you guys playing Miami tomorrow, I can't want you guys to win, but you guys are just the better team. This one is more of a tight-knit game. I can deal with New England winning more than I can with Cleveland winning this game. I cannot have Cleveland win this game.
I kind of want to see New England fight Buffalo for that division, and I don't want to see that game.
I want to see that matchup
going forward. But with that being said, I'm taking New England to win against the Browns.
Yeah, so am I. So the next one that we have on the board is Atlanta and Dallas.
I'm going to be taking the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. I just think Atlanta, as good as their offense is, their defense is what's going to kill them. And I do not like their defense minus Calvin Ridley, minus Julio Jones, and them only kind of relying on Cordell Patterson and Kyle Pitts. Let's be honest, though. I like Cordell Patterson, but he's not – you can't lean on him like game in and game out. He'll have his big games, and this was one of his big games, but we never said his name once even before this game.
Didn't say one before today.
With that being said, I'm going to be taking the Cowboys to win. I think their game against the Broncos was more of an aberration than anything else.
Yeah, Dallas is definitely just the hotter hand at this point in time.
Yeah.
I truly hope that what happened against Denver was an anomaly with them and that they just come back true to form against Atlanta. That defense is really going to be the downfall of Atlanta like it has been for years, and it will continue to be until they figure it out. I don't know what's going on with Atlanta, why they've never decided to have a defensive front of any form, but
which is funny too, because just a quick side note, Dan Quinn, who's going to be the X factor that game. Dan Quinn, the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, he was actually the defensive coordinator for Seattle when they had the Legion of Boom. So he
knows defense.
He's a defensive coordinator at heart. And yet, when he was with the Falcons, they never prioritized that.
But that's because that's not the energy of Atlanta. They're an offensive heavy team. They've been that way since Michael Vick was on the team.
They just hit home runs and win World Series in 2021.
Yeah, they're the New York Yankees of the NFL.
I don't know about that.
We're gonna move on to Carolina and Arizona.
I'm taking Arizona to win this. Being that Sam Darnold is playing hurt, either he's going to be playing hurt or they're going to have a backup quarterback, and I don't like them to win that game, even if they had Sam Darnold. So I'm taking Arizona to win that game, and I'll take them to win even if they don't have Kyler Murray. So,
yeah, Arizona is the better team, and it's not close. Even with a healthy Sam Darnold, Arizona's
they're not going to win that game either way.
No.
But maybe any given Sunday.
Any given Sunday, something could just happen. They could catch lightning in a bottle and beat the number one team in the AFC. NFCs. But it's just not going to happen, but we'll see. We're going to move on to Minnesota and the LA Chargers. This one's actually a tough game. This one's going to be a very interesting game to watch for those who can watch it.
It's broadcasted in your area, or you got the NFL package. But... you know what? I'm going to take the Vikings to win that game. Although I like that the Chargers won against the Eagles last week, but I didn't like how they won against the Eagles. It was a very desperate game for the Chargers to win. They kind of had to pull the comeback out of their win to win it. So I'm taking Minnesota. I just think that they're better than what their record suggests. I don't know. Am I weird for thinking that?
No, because again, you just have that soft spot for Minnesota, and I respect it. But this is where you and I are going to part ways, and I think I'm going to go with the Chargers on this one. I think with Austin Eckler now being healthy and running like the madman that he is, that Minnesota defense doesn't really. There's not going to be much help.
Also, Dalvin Cook is going to be cooking.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook's going to do his thing, but pound for pound is better than Dalvin Cook. Sorry,
Eckler?
Mate.
I don't think that.
This is where we're torn up, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, we're part ways.
So you guys let us know in the comment section who do you think is better, Austin Eckler or Dalvin Cook? Leave that debate open for you guys as well. We're gonna move on for now to Seattle and Green Bay.
I'm taking Green Bay. Wilson coming back though, it does feel like some magic. Rodgers coming back does feel like reluctance, but I'm going to take Green Bay. I think their defense is going to really torment the Seahawks, and the Seahawks. I just don't think that even Wilson coming back, I don't think that's enough for them to overcome their own defense. So, with that being said, I'm going to take Green Bay to win that game.
Yeah, I can agree with that, especially because Green Bay is going to be coming out with a different type of motor. Mm-hmm. Like as we were talking about with Seattle, their season more or less done. So they're going to be coming out to play more so just to stay healthy, whereas Green Bay is going to be coming out to winning a divisional game for a playoff run and an NFC championship run eventually. Mm-hmm. So I see Green Bay winning this game, and it's going to just be two completely different energies on both sides of the ball.
Yep.
I'm going to move on to Philadelphia and Denver. Tough one.
I'm taking the Eagles on this one. I like the way that they've been scrapping these past couple weeks, and Jalen Hurts, even though not many people are watching his games, he's been balling, and I like the way he's been balling. And I'm gonna take the Eagles on that one.
I respect it. I like Jalen Hurts, but I think I'm gonna actually give this one to Denver. Holding the Dallas Cowboys scoreless for 3/4 of a game is nothing short of fucking spectacular, especially with the Dallas Cowboys being the 30-point machines that they are. Holding them scoreless in 3/4 is absolutely insane. And then you have, now this week, you're going up against the Philadelphia Eagles that struggle against putting points up against the more mid-caliber defenses. You guys
they can put up points.
They can put up points, but not at the
rate. No,
not at the rate of the Cowboys.
No,
so. That's coming off of that type of defensive win against that team. I don't think this is going to be much of an issue for Denver, personally.
Okay.
Going on to the primetime game, which is Kansas City and Las Vegas.
I'm torn on this one. I'll be honest.
Me too.
I'm so torn on this one. You know what? I like to see a balance, like a change in power. I'm going to take the Raiders on this one. I think
you surprised me big on that one.
A home primetime game. I like the Raiders to win that one. I'm not counting. The Chiefs are still going to be a competitive team, but their defense is so bad. And Mahomes, he had a really one good play last week, but he struggled mightily against that Packers defense. I'm taking the Raiders. I would like to see them win that game and take the lead going into November.
I'm right there with you. I have a soft spot for the Raiders, and I almost wish I could call it an upset, but at this point in time, it feels like the Raiders are just the better team.
It feels like they are.
It feels like they're the better team going into this week. Mm-hmm. Not saying overall, but going into this week, Vegas has a better head of steam. Vegas' defense puts their head on the swivel. Vegas' offense can put up points in bunches on top of having that defense and on top of being healthy and on top of having a quarterback that doesn't have 10 interceptions. They're the better team this week. So this is going to be a very interesting game to watch.
Yeah, I like the Raiders to win this one. And it's that division is a tough division.
Yes. And then moving on to last but not least, the Monday night game, which is San Francisco versus the Los Angeles Rams.
Now it's funny. Sean McVay does not do well against Kyle Shanahan.
No.
Which is weird because that's just like kind of his kryptonite. They just don't do well against the 49ers. But that being said, I'm going to take the Rams on this one. I think that they are the better team, and I think that the 49ers are more so playing to also not get hurt. And I think that the Rams are playing after a bad loss against the Tennessee Titans.
With a bad taste in their mouth.
With a bad taste in their mouth. I think they're just gonna travel right up the coast of California and be like, look, we just gotta take care of business. Like teams, everyone's doubting us now. It's like we got to show up, and I think the Rams are going to be taking this game on Monday.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I do like what's coming out of San Francisco, but with the addition of Von Miller, because pretty sure he will be back in for this game. He wasn't in last week, but he will be in this week.
He'll be in. Yep.
He'll be in this week. I want to see what that has, because that has such a nice ring to it.
Oh yeah.
It's like magical to me.
Oh yeah.
As someone who likes defense, Von Miller on the LA Rams is magic to me. So I'm going with the Rams, and I think it's going to be one of the more impressive defensive victories of the season.
I like that.
That's what I think.
I like that.
So, guys, there you have it. That is our lineup for the week. This is our episode. Please be sure to give us a like, a comment, a subscribe. If you guys agree, disagree, let us know. If you like this mic setup, if you want us to go back to the other ones, please let us know. We want to make sure that we have the best product for you guys from here moving.
I like this. I like this.
I do too. I like the way this sounds. So we do want to continue to upgrade and get our stuff for you guys to have a good experience while watching us. Hope you are excited for this week. I know we are. We are Let's Talk Football, and thank you.